5 tips on becoming a better Hearthstone player. Let's get started. Don't hover your mouse over the cards you want to play. You can gain a lot of information from a player that is shuffling through their cards. However, you must learn when it's useful and when it's just someone trying to troll you. For example, try and figure out if your opponent has a turn 4 swipe or a turn 7 flame strike by looking at how they shuffle through their cards. Players that are hovering over cards for an extended period of time are most likely holding cards that they can play, since players don't usually look at cards that they can't really play yet. So you can actually tell what mana level cards your opponent has just by watching the way they hover their mouse over their cards. Of course, be leery that once many people know about this, they may try and trick you into thinking that they have a card when they don't. This is not a foolproof discernment, but it can give you that tiny piece of information needed to extend a lead. Try and plan your turn without using your mouse. That way you don't give away any unnecessary information. Figure out what decks most players in your rank are playing. The strategy that a majority of the player base is playing is naturally considered the best strategy. So take advantage of this by understanding the shifts in tendencies that the general public is leaning towards. At the moment, zoo decks are very prevalent at the lower ranks, and so it would have been better for me to have kept that lightning storm just in case this was a hybrid zoo deck, which we find out later on that it is. Knowing player tendencies, or the metagame, will put you in an advantageous position even before you start playing against an opponent. Always be looking for lethal, or an opportunity to win the game. I see people missing lethal all the time, and the only way that I can justify it is that their mindsets were not focused on winning at all points in the game. Always ask yourself before you commit to your turn if you have lethal or not. As you can see here, this player did not see the opportunity before it was too late, and so we were given an opportunity to win. Sometimes, it is a simple matter of looking at the board one last time and surveying whether or not you have an equal amount of damage on the board compared to your opponent's health. Read card descriptions very carefully. For newer players that don't have experience with all of the cards, be sure to understand how certain cards work. A majority of the cards in Hearthstone have separate abilities like battle cries, death rattles, and or worded conditions. Be sure you understand what a card does before you use it. A good example of wording issues is the Twilight Drake and the Frostwolf Warlord, where they have battle cries that can be silenced, even though every other battle cry cannot. Other cards like Reincarnate for the Shaman are worded in such a way that they do not reveal the myriad ways of using it. If you plan to draw cards on your turn, draw them first before other actions. This is simply a good rule of thumb that will give you more options more often. It's not that this will win you more games, but there is no downside to doing this. This is not to say that if you have a draw card, you must use it immediately. The premise here is that if you have already deduced that you will be using a card draw card this turn, then using it first will give you another option that might be better than the option that you were already going to do. Sometimes you may even draw a card necessary for lethal that turn. So if you are already planning on using a card like Azure Drake or a Novice Engineer, play them first to see what you draw and then adjust your turn accordingly. Again, there is no downside to doing this. My name is Start Now, and thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and comment below on any tips that might help newer players get into Hearthstone. And of course, keep it real. Till next time.